Hey guys, Coach Shelby here, and I'm ready to bring you the secret to getting athletic abs and getting that rock hard athletic core that all athletes dream about. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little circuit of core training. We're going to do 3 different exercises with a couple progressions and regressions, so that if you can't maintain position in one exercise, I'm going to show you how to adjust it within the same position or the same element of that exercise. So we're going to start off with what you'd consider a basic plank. So we're going to go with a prone plank or a prone bridge, face down, forearms on the ground, and we're basically going to start out just like you would on a normal plank, and we're just going to hold. Now, the further your arms are out in front of you, the harder it's going to be. The thing we're going to do with this that most people don't normally do is we're going to do almost like a ladder effect, where you're going to start off with a 60-second hold, then you're going to rest for 10 seconds. After you rest for 10 seconds, you're going to pick right back up. You're going to go right back into a 50-second hold, rest for 10 seconds, then a 40-second hold, rest for 10, all the way down until you hit a 10-second plank with a 10-second rest. So work on holding that position. In between each rep, you're going to hold for your 10 seconds. You're actually going to stay right in position. So if I were to maintain this position with a nice normal curve in my back, I'm not going to round up. I'm also not going to sag down. My shoulder blades are going to be staying back nice and neutral. I'm going to hold like this. At the end of my minute, I'm going to drop my knees, and I'm still going to maintain this position. And then I'm going to pick right back up, and I'm going to go right back into my 50. Now, if you're struggling with maintaining that good, strong core during this plank, I actually want you to maintain that knee down position the whole time, or bring your arms in a little bit more underneath you, both of which will make this exercise a little bit easier. You also can elevate yourself up. You can put your arms on a bench or a set of stairs or anything like that. Will work just as well too. Once I finish those, I'm going to go immediately into what we call a belly push, or a pal-off press, and I'm going to walk myself out, and I'm going to get down in a nice low athletic stance, and I'm going to take a band or a cable, depending on what I have available. I just have a power band, and I'm going to bring the band right to my chest, and I'm going to press out away from my chest, preventing the band from, it's going to want to pull me to my side, preventing it from pulling me over. So I'm going to go in and out, just nice and smooth. I'm going to feel my abs kick in each time I press out. I'm going to do 10 of those. I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to do 10 the other way. As soon as I finish my 10, I'm going to turn back around, and I'm going to do 8. 8 this way, then I'm going to turn back around, I'm going to do 8 the other way. I'm going to work myself all the way down until I finish with my 2 on each side, and then I'm going to go into the last exercise, which we're going to call a stability ball march. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this. What we're going to do is we're going to do it with an anti-extension movement. So we're actually going to take a kettlebell or a dumbbell. And I got a 16 kilo kettlebell right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up over my head slightly behind me. What this is going to do is this is actually going to trigger your core to prevent that extension force. If the kettlebell wants to pull you over, it's going to make your abs do what they're supposed to do, which is prevent that movement, not simply to flex up. So when I hold that kettlebell over, it's going to engage my core. It's also going to engage my lats, your back here, like you'd use on a pull-up, which actually function with the core to help you stabilize. So if you heard in like the Dr. McGill interview, the lats are actually a big part of the core. So what we're going to do right from there is we're going to keep the arch of our back in the stability ball. If you don't have a stability ball, you can do this on the floor with just a slight flex. And then you can work through the same movement. I'll show you that in a second. But I'm going to walk myself out just so the arch of my back is in the ball. I'm going to press the kettlebell up overhead. Now, the further I go overhead, the more it's going to want to pull me over. So I got to find kind of that happy medium where I feel my abs kick in, and I'm just going to kind of flex my core, and then I'm going to rotate through, and I'm just simply going to lift a leg. And I'm going to go up, down, and it is very, very challenging. This is also going to incorporate you having to stabilize on a unilateral side, so you're actually going to have a little weight shift each time you go through and lift the leg, and you want to prevent yourself from that little side shift as much as possible. So while this does not incorporate the glutes and the hips like we might use some, we'll do variations of this depending on what we're trying to do. If you do not have a stability ball, you can go down on the floor, and all we're going to do is pretty much the exact same thing. The only difference being we're going to slightly push our low back into the floor just enough so we can feel our abs engage, and I'm going to pick my knees up over my hips, and I'm going to hold the kettlebell probably a little bit further out, and I'm simply going to drop the other leg down almost like a dead bug, dying bug variation. Now, the important thing to remember on this is you don't want your back to lift. You don't want your back to arch significantly and have your hip flexors or your quads or whatever pull you out of that position. So the important thing is to keep the core still and stable, and that's the function of the abs. If you want those athletic abs, that's what you got to do. Now, my recommendation on this is probably to go through pretty much a little bit shy of failure, what we consider technical failure when you start to fall out of position. A good target goal for most people would probably be around 8 to 12 each leg, and find a weight that you can obviously hold to stabilize to be able to get through that. However, if you start to feel your back lift, in particular on these exercises, that's where you call it. You're better off staying in position and reinforcing good form than you get sloppy and simply fall out of form. So make sure you sign up for the top 10 tips on the site. Make sure you check out all the other interviews, everything we got going on the site to help turn you into an elite athlete.